For me, working from home was pretty lonely. Still is. So like I said, it was pretty lonely at first to work from home. Every day I would just stand in the cupboard and narrate audiobooks. All day, usually from 9 to 7. So I was in London at this point with my wonderful landlord, Hélène Binet. We would see each other in the morning for breakfast and lunch, and she would work on her photography in her studio, and I would narrate. Now, this was the beginning of being a digital nomad, and I was pretty scared of the evenings. This is something that the whole sphere doesn't really capture. I didn't really know what to do with myself. I didn't have many friends in London, and I had no other income, so I couldn't really bear to screw up the audiobook business. It's not like when you work in an office where you get a bit of socializing and then you can come home and relax. I was alone a lot of the time. So I had to learn to be content with myself. I would ride my bike most evenings, read heaps of books, and go on long walks around London. So this video is about my journey working from home, how I've managed to do it for the last 3 years, some tips for the actual work and the extracurricular mental health side of things too. So let's get started. I tried to follow an old lecturer's advice in the beginning to break into my dream job. She said that you should save up for a just fuck it fund. With 3 months of food and rent secured, you should then make the thing you want to do happen. So what I started to do was catch the train down to London as often as possible and try door knocking various companies. Most of the time I got rejected outright, but I did manage to make this video for a guy called Ben, an investment director. I made these videos for Roseanne, Lloyd, and Deepak, and I even managed to work as a volunteer for Extinction Rebellion. But like I said, most people just turned me away. Or they said, oh yeah, just sit down, and then they told me to leave later. Then I landed this insane job as a videographer for a Sydney charity where I rode bikes through Europe, Scandinavia, and Turkey making virtual reality films for the elderly and people who can't travel. At one stage, I was making meditation videos, and then the audiobooks again started to kick off. I produced 11 audiobooks in total, and then I went back to that Sydney charity with the idea of making more VR films through North America. Now, throughout this whole period, I probably applied a couple of hundred, maybe 300 jobs on Upwork and just didn't get anything. Then I managed to do 10 more cities by bike, and during COVID, I got trapped in Boston with my girlfriend Jill, and her mum soon said, you've got to get out of here, so I had to go back to New Zealand. Then I was back on Upwork again after saying hi to my friends and family. Mostly it was no's again, lots of no's and rejections and people just not replying. I managed to make this video for Diego and this one for Montana. And then, after a lot of no's, I got 3 incredible opportunities in the space of 2 weeks. To work with Ricky Hayes, co-founder of Debutify, to work with Elise London, CEO of Video Ventura, and to work with Johnny Harris, producer at Vox. So I'm still working on and off for everybody, Ricky most of all, because he's the co-founder of Debutify. But that is kind of the nug of working remotely, is you just have to take what work you can, when you can, and get on with it, because most of the time you're not going to get consistent work. You're only going to be getting sporadic little gigs, and more often than not you're going to just get no replies. That really is the kicker. So how did all this happen? Well, Ricky and Elise found me on Upwork, but I did send Johnny a message on Instagram about a cheeky little documentary I had planned before COVID. Basically, I wanted to cycle from London to Cape Town and interview people along the many borders of Africa, because all those borders were drawn up by the Europeans in the 1840s. So I wanted to figure out what the people who lived there thought of that. Johnny said, yeah, that's a cool idea, but first you should make a bikepacking course for my company, Right Trip. So I did. It took a year of shooting and editing on Sundays, and finally finished it. But throughout it all, I've been making these YouTube videos, so I want to say thanks so much for being here. And if you're not already a subscriber, please, welcome to the club. So the first lesson from all of these experiences is you kind of have to keep hustling, which essentially is just scrolling on Upwork or sending cold emails to companies or people you would want to work with. One effective way to get work is to make the piece of work that somebody needs for free, like a promotion video for your favorite podcast. Just make it and send it to them. If they like it, they will most likely bring you on for paid work. An old producer of mine, Camille, said, you have to sort out the basics before you do anything creative. It's true, it's safe to say it's harder to make good stuff if you're in a bad mood, your relationships are rough, or you just need a break. In New Zealand, people have a saying, you have to look after number one. So I guess what I'm kind of getting at here is suffering. When you're working from home, you are your own boss, and sometimes the structure of an office and people around you, things going on, when they're not there, it can be hard to, crack the whip on yourself, and it can be easy to fall into a rut. You might think you need to eliminate suffering in order to be a better worker. The thing is, I don't think we should. We've evolved trying to solve difficult, life-threatening problems like escaping predators, living in grueling agricultural societies. Constantly trying to move towards pleasure and away from suffering. It's a mental battlefield, really. The key, I think, is to just observe the state of affairs without trying to change things. Just let the experience happen. Obviously, if something bad is happening, get out of there, change it, or call for help. But in the context of working from home, just trying your best to notice your desires, let them go, and then bring your attention back to, what you think is best. It's good to take some leisure time. What I find works best is going between leisure and high output, if you really want to be productive. Doing things like taking a bike ride right before a recording session, reading a novel and then doing some writing, going on a late afternoon walk, spending hours before spending hours editing. Play your favorite album really loud and sing your heart out. Balance has been preached by the world's oldest thinkers. Aristotle with the golden mean, drawing inspiration from the resilience of bamboo with Zheng Xi, and Wu Wei, the intentional surrender to the universe from Lao Tzu. You just can't sustain effective output of the same activity. So why force yourself to continue to work at the same problem for hours at a time? Why not split things up? So find the balance between following an agenda and giving yourself space to follow your intuition. You have to get a few select tasks done in the week, of course, so make sure you give yourself that structure to achieve that, but at the same time, don't put the stress on yourself. You should go down those rabbit holes, jot down ideas, develop them right there. Go on a run, get out of bed to take notes while you're asleep. Have that inspiration in the shower, get out and write it down. According to Matthew Walker, sleep expert, our focus is highest for the 3 hours after we wake up. So once you've burnt through that, try take a physical break. Play some guitar, meditate, refresh yourself with a cold shower, or have something to eat. Then you can go back for another round of work. Because all you are is a capitalist cog and you will work. Lean into that. Let it flow. Dream the project. Live the idea. Realize. Develop. Iterate. Dance. Sing. And then there's socializing. The Western world is pretty lonely. So according to Insider.com, only 13% of those polled said they had more than 10 close friends. This is in stark contrast to a 1990 Gallup poll, which a third of US adults said they had 10 or more close friends. Even odder, 3 decades ago, 75% of the 1,200 people Gallup surveyed over the phone, they said they had a best friend. However, that number in this year's poll was only 59%. It's important to try and make a living, a successful career, and put energy into projects you love, but you gotta have friends. I know right now is probably the hardest time to make friends, but you can reach out. You can use this little thing. I've been doing this recently. I've just been texting people on Instagram. Hey, I was just thinking about you. What are you doing with yourself? I hope you're doing great. Would love to catch up. To my surprise, people are really receptive to that. Who doesn't want to receive a lovely message on their phone? So reach out to those people that you think about often and just see how they're doing. I think it's really healthy for both parties. If you're living in a city, a place where most people feel isolated, to reach out and see how people are doing, that's a really great thing to do. Okay, and the final point. Don't let yourself become a robot. I find myself lately opening up my browser and following a kind of protocol. Command-T, G, enter, and I just sit and wait for Gmail to open. I didn't even want to be here. Who is sending me emails? I kind of guess that it feels productive. So I'm trying to find a way to replace that somehow and spend less time waiting for emails. We're told to use so many different apps and programs, but I find that my most inspiring moments are with people, nature, and with analog tools. So go and talk through your ideas with somebody. Go for a walk and breathe in the trees and put your thoughts down on paper. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that some of this was useful to you and that you have a wonderful rest of your day.